Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a 49er training camp practice number 12 review. Practice number 1 from Las Vegas with the Raiders and the 49ers. And of course, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out. 2 locations, Corte Madera and Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week in both spots from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. All right, let's talk a little bit about training camp practice number 12. No, I was not in attendance. I've been there all summer, but I am not in Las Vegas. But from all the accounts coming out of Las Vegas, let's review some of the stuff that we got out of it today. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, according to multiple reports, went 11 of 16. He did throw an interception. He had a couple touchdowns. One of them went to Christian McCaffrey. And I guess his touchdown pass to McCaffrey led to a brief scuffle between the Niners and the Raiders. Purdy played 27 reps, all with the ones. Trey Lance had 19 reps, was 6 of 12. Did have a fumbled snap. Sounds like on the final drive of the move the ball drill, Lance moved the ball down the field and threw a touchdown pass to Cam Latu, and Latu dropped it. So that's obviously not good for Latu. Sam Darnold went 1 of 3. He only had 9 reps. Lance had 19 total reps. Brandon Allen had no reps at all. As far as some of the reports coming out that the 49ers D-line won a number of the one-on-one individual reps against the Raiders offensive line. Eric Armstead supposedly beat Dylan Parham, the guard, with a swim move. Javon Kinlaw beat Greg Van Roten in a one-on-one rep. Alex Barrett, who's looked really good in practice all summer, had 2 wins according to the reports. 1 against a guard, 1 against an offensive tackle. He's been looking absolutely great. The Niner offensive linemen struggled a little bit in the one-on-ones. According to multiple reports, Leroy Watson and Colton McKivitz struggled against the Raiders' D-line. Now, the Raiders have one of the best defensive end tandems in the game in Chandler Jones and Max Crosby, that's for sure. Now, Kyle Shanahan and Josh McDaniels did agree that any player who throws a punch was going to be kicked out of practice. We did see Nate Hobbs and Juwan Jennings mix it up a little bit. Aaron Banks, on a good note, practiced. He was back from the concussion protocol and won his one-on-one reps. So that's good to hear. Now, the worst news of the day is something that didn't even happen today. But on Tuesday, Sam Darnold threw a sideline pass down the field to Ray McCloud. It was intercepted by Jair Brown. On that play, Ray suffered a broken wrist. He does need surgery. He's going to be out a month and a half to 2 months. Now, obviously, it's bad news for Ray. For the Niners, you know, they have Deshaun Jameson and Ronnie Bell and others who could return kicks. They also have Tay Martin, Ronnie Bell, Chris Conley, Willie Snead that could take Ray's spot at wide receiver. So it's not a crushing blow, but you never like to see that. According to reports, Trey Lance had a really nice drive to end the practice, but his 4th down throw to the end zone was dropped by rookie tight end Cameron Latu. And Latu has now dropped 3 balls in the last 2 practices, and that is not good. He's going to struggle to make the roster if this trend continues. A couple other notes. Defensive back Miles Hartsfield had an interception pick 6 of Brian Hoyer. That's good news for Hartsfield, who had been very quiet production-wise on the field this summer. On the injury note, Drake Jackson has that hamstring injury from earlier. He did not practice today. George Kittle suffered an abductor pull of some kind. He looks like he's going to be out probably a week to 10 days. And then Dre Greenlaw suffered a hamstring injury in the practice, and I would imagine you're not going to see Greenlaw tomorrow, and most likely you're not going to see him Sunday in the game. Couple other interesting notes. Javon Hargrave had a sack of Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo did lead a full field drive against the Niners' number 1 defense. Jake Moody made a couple of 48-yard field goals. Moody's got a big leg and has had a great camp so far. Danny Gray did not practice today either. He was just listed as general soreness for the reason that he didn't practice. And I thought this was kind of interesting. Vic Tafur, who's covered the Raiders for a while, says that he thinks Sam Darnold already has won the 49ers' number 2 quarterback job. So that's interesting, just that Tafur would say that. I don't know what that's based on. I didn't get a chance to talk to Vic, but there you go. Vic Tafur says he thinks that Sam Darnold already has won the number 2 quarterback job for the 49ers. So interesting in listening to some of the accounts of practice. The Raiders don't sound like they're quite as hospitable or welcoming a host as the Niners are. The Niners generally feed the media lunch in the media room. Supposedly there was no food for the media and provided by the Raiders. Also, the Raiders have a 3-field deal, and they made the media stand on, let's say, one side of field 1, the far side of field 1, and they practiced on field 2 and field 3. So, everybody was a minimum of like 65 or 70 yards away from the action. So, in typical Raider fashion, they don't want to give the media too much, and it didn't sound like they gave the media much today. But there you go. Those are your takeaways from what I heard from practice. It sounds like, Brock Purdy threw an interception, but other than that, had a pretty good practice. 11 of 16 with the interception and the touchdown to CMC. According to some reports, he threw 1 touchdown today. According to some other reports, he threw 2. But Purdy, 11 of 16. Once again, Lance roughly 50% and a fumbled snap. Darnold only had 9 reps and went 1 of 3 and no reps at all for Brandon Allen. So if we're going to do any takeaway based on what happened today on the field, it sounds like you're not going to see Drake Jackson. You're not going to see George Kittle. You're not going to see Dre Greenlaw. You probably are not going to see Elijah Mitchell. You may not see Danny Gray. You're likely not to see Brock Purdy on Sunday. The Niners plan to rest a lot of their starters, so this is going to be a lot of the 2s and the 3s in the game on Sunday in Las Vegas. But overall, the big news of the day is that Ray McCloud on Tuesday suffered a broken left wrist, and he's out a month and a half to 2 months, which should open up a roster spot for some of these wide receivers or slash return men. Probably a good bit of news for Ronnie Bell, because now his chances of making the roster go up dramatically. So there you go. There's the day 12 49er training camp practice review. Jack Hammer will join me on the Krug Show at 4 p.m. this afternoon for a live stream to break it all down. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. Thanks to them, and thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.